What is up everyone, Duckster here, and today I'll be giving you a simple Valorant Gamesense guide. So I'll be teaching you some of the basics of Gamesense, as Gamesense is really situational, but I'll try and give some of my points, and after that I'll do a summary and give you some tips on how to improve your Gamesense. So what exactly is Gamesense? Gamesense is basically a certain decision you make in game, and you will obviously want it to make this decision because you want things to go in your favor, but some bad decision making can lead to the fall of the round. So you should always take note of two things before making a decision. That is, what is the purpose and is it worth it? So what I mean by this is, let's say you want to flank the enemy. Your purpose is to go to their enemy lines and get kills, but is it worth it if your team is straight up rushing and before you even make it to their spawn it's already a 1v4? So you want to try and comb with your teammates, like maybe ask them to slow it down so you can make this decision more worth it. So I'll be covering 4 things today: awareness of map, when to peek or stick fights, which side to go, and when to rotate. So if you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing as it means a lot to me. All my links will be down in the description. So without further ado, let's hop straight to the video. As you can see, I've hopped into a custom game so I can further illustrate my point on awareness of map. So you just want to make sure your map size is around 1.2 or like 0.7 or whatever size, but you just want to be able to see everything that's happening on the map from one side to another. So like maybe if your teammates see someone opening mid, you'll be able to see that on your minimap as well. So let's hop back to the point on awareness of map. Awareness of map is knowing info around the map. You can obviously do this by skydogging or sova droning, but another way is map control. You see this a lot in a pro play, and you see pros like to do something like this. So the point of this, where the example I just showed of the smoke there, that way the enemies here, they wouldn't push out because it's a one-way smoke, and if they do this they will have op control, basically aiming control. And then obviously if the enemies stay or go back, and when the smoke runs out, they can peek out and maybe see, maybe they check the corners, they don't see anyone, therefore they know it may be they may be playing slow, or they may be heavy towards B, so they should careful there. And all this info which you can rely on your teammates can be really important and useful. But you don't necessarily have to use smokes to gain map control. You can use all sorts of util like molly to prevent them from pushing out, and maybe even just someone can hold an angle while you push out. It's all sorts of these things you must coordinate, and because Valorant's a team game, you can't really do everything solo. So I'll be going into the next point, which is knowing which side to go. Which side to go is really very similar to awareness of map, as for both you really need map knowledge. So, and a very important thing is of knowing which side to go is to not 5-stack like this. This is bad as I said, awareness of map, you have no idea what's happening around the map. You have no idea if someone is mid lurking or someone has pushed out spawn, and maybe if you guys rotate you get killed. So in order to prevent this, you guys could do what's called a default. It's basically playing around the map, you know, maybe some B, some mid, some A. You play for info. So an example is, if one of your teammates comes B, they see a KJ turret and you can see an alarm bot, it's quite possible that Killjoy may be playing backside here. So you want to try and count the number of enemies there are. So if you know Killjoy's one is backside and you see Sage walked here, maybe he could be playing market, and then your other teammates over here at A, you know, they could see someone peeking out, or they just hear some footsteps. So you know that there's gonna be one here, and then there's one backside and one market, and there's around 2 unknown. So if they further use their util, because if they hear you and they hear and they start using their util like their drones, then you start to understand more about how they are playing. And using this, you want to go to the site with lesser number of people or fewer number of people. This is so you have a more like free site, you could say, since you guys would have less number of people to deal with. But it's up to you whether you want to still 5 rush. But a better way which you can also do is having 3 maybe go B main and 2 come mid. So this is so you could have some further info and whether some of them had just started rotating on it. So another point I would like to say is, let's say you guys decided to 5 stack and come A, but you realize they managed to stop your push and now you decided to rotate to B, but no one was at B at the start of the round, so you never know, someone may have pushed up and hide here, or someone may have been hiding in this cubby, and if you guys don't check it, they're just gonna trigger discipline you and you're gonna get owned. So that's another good point of playing for awareness of map, so you can defaulting, so you can gain info and you can make sure they don't push out. So you just want to play it passive in the default and you really don't want to push out. So yeah, this how you know which side you can go. So awareness of map and knowing which side to go is both very similar concepts. You want to be playing for info every time, checking your corners, using util wisely. You don't want to just randomly use it. So yeah, that's it for awareness of map and which side to go. Let's go to my next point, when to pick or take fights. Okay, knowing when to pick or take fights. This is a very common mistake in lower elos. So knowing when to pick or take fights, for example, is you could see enemy's economy, they may buy your orb, and yet you still white swing. You know there's a chance, so you know you could maybe jiggle peek and then smoke it, and then you know some info and so on and so forth. But a real common mistake is low elo is, let's say it's a 5v3 in your favor and you guys are on T side and you planted the spike, and then you see your duelist start charging, you know, trying to go on for frags. So this is wrong. This is a KDA player and not someone who's playing to win. He's just playing for stats so he can flex on his friends even though he's like bronze, but that's not the point. You really want to be playing to win, so you want to play smart. If your team comp has like mollies, then you could try and delay the push as much as possible. And as a smoker, you want to be constantly smoking, and if you're Astra, you can stun. You just want to delay them as much as possible. You don't want to be aggressively pushing, cause if you aggressively keep pushing and you guys don't pick together and do all that stuff, it soon be a 4v3 then 3v3, then it starts to be quite worrying for you guys. So you guys want to play smart. You guys just want to hold a different angle. No one should be holding the same angle, and then one holds garden, one can hold haven, and then maybe 2 post plan. But so if your teammate starts pushing, even though you guys have numbers, that is a bad example of when to pick or take fights. However, if you guys are in the 5v3 and it's not in your favor, you guys should be pushing out and playing more aggressive angles, because if you play post plan in a 5v3, they most likely win because they can just smoke and do all that stuff. But if you guys play an aggressive angle, you can get a peek, and then your other teammates here gets a peek, you even it out 3v3. This way you guys can now play like what I said earlier. You guys can play inside, you can play post plan and do all that stuff. Another good example of knowing when to pick and take fights is if it's maybe a 1v2 or 2v1 clutch. One of your teammates here, and then maybe you're chilling here, and your teammate, the enemy doesn't know you're here. So from his perspective, when he taps the bomb and he peeks, he may kill him, but as soon after that you want to peek off his contact. So that means as soon as these two make interactions, you immediately peek. So since he doesn't know you're here, and when he peeks that, you immediately peek it, then boom, easy kill. So that is peeking off his contact. And the last thing is you could also double peek. So let's say you guys are here and you guys both peek together. So this is kind of another clutch situation, as usually in clutch situations you need lots of game sense, but I'll be making a clutch video very soon, so don't worry about all this. This is it'll be a fuller of this game sense video. So let's go into the last point. Okay, so the last point, when to rotate. So if you ever guys wanted to go to a site when the enemies literally are playing double smokes, and then they just smoke molly, and then it's just really annoying, right? So maybe you guys could wait it out and flash, but you need to know when to rotate. So goes back to my point of counting the enemies. If you know that there's a smoke here, I mean, like, obviously most smokers can smoke from anywhere in the map, but if there's a smoke here and then maybe they have a sky and they dog out, and you can hear some people, or like if you just hear lots of people, you know that there has to be at least 3 or 4 inside. So maybe instead of just flashing out and running, instead next time you could maybe slowly rotate, and you don't wanna walk, because if you look at your minimap you can see the noise radar, and they will be able to hear you rotating, and then they will reach the site first. So maybe instead what you can do is you can walk all the way till here and then start running to the site, while some of your other teammates here can do a fake flash or fake molly. This way they would have doubt on whether you guys are going A or B, since you guys already have teammates who are rotating off to B. So even though some of the enemy's team may still have people staying at B, which is smart of them to not rotate, you will still have the numbers. If you maybe it's 3v2, you guys should be able to take side, and then after that your other team here can quickly rotate and come to the side. Another thing you could do is, let's say you have all 5 teammates here, you guys can all run and start acting like you're rotating, and then slowly walk and maybe wait it out, since it will take time for you to rotate to each side. So this would confuse the enemy on whether you guys are really rotating or actually going A. But maybe in lower elo, as soon as they hear your footsteps, they may immediately just rotate B, because they don't think of all these things in low elo. So it's a good way to trick your enemies, and then after that do a fast push,
launching smoke,
and then flash out. Okay, so this comes to my conclusion of the video. I'll now be giving you a summary of what I said over the past few minutes, and giving you guys some tips on how to improve your game sense. So obviously the stuff I gave you today, they were very basic and they weren't anything too crazy, and I just gave more of like a brief description. So I really hope these can help you in your, especially if you're a low elo player, can use some of these tips and help you climb up the ladders. But let's go back to how you guys can improve your game sense. So ways you can improve your game sense is watching pro players play. Just watch, look at the radar, see what's the purpose of all these smokes. Is it for map control? Are they trying to do a fake play? Just try and decipher all this yourself, even though you don't understand them. The next is recording your gameplay. So maybe let's say you saw that you just wide swing mid and got opt. So maybe if you could have after watching the video, you could tell yourself, like, maybe next time check the enemy's economy or check your economy. It's just learn all this stuff by watching your own gameplay. It really help. Like, you think, why did I die? Should I have peeked that? Should I have wide swing that? And as long as you keep playing the game, you understand a lot more of this, as game sense is very situational, and every round has a different story to it. So you just want to keep playing the game overall, watch pro players play, video yourself, and then your game sense will slowly increase.